Hello everyone, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I want to look at data entry and data management in SPSS. So you have your data, you have SPSS. What do? You have it in a hard copy format and you want to enter the data right from the scratch. Then the first thing that you would want to do is to make sure that you give the right names to your variables. And so when I come to the variable view, I've also covered in my previous video which of the views you're supposed to choose. So I want you to go there and check it right there. Alright, so when I choose the variable view, then I can assign the names to them. And it depends on the particular data type that you're working with and the names you're going to give to them. And you want to give names that you always remember when you are performing your analysis. When you have age, you want to give age to age. So I don't want to give any other property to age when I'm dealing with age. So I'll type age there. I mean, everybody knows what age is. When I hit enter, it begins to assign the other properties to it. And I've covered in the previous video what each of these properties means. So the first thing is to begin to outline all the names of the variables that you have. So if you have about 20 variables you are dealing with, depending on the questionnaires, you need to outline all of them here to the 20th variable. Some of them could be dealing with satisfaction, some of them could be merely measuring the BMI, measuring the blood pressure, measuring the height and weight of the participant. Some of them is just asking questions about their perception, satisfaction, and even it could be a Likert scale type of questionnaires. All of these could be entered into SPSS over here, and once you enter them, then you begin to work with it. So age, I could assign gender. The best practice is that you need to start giving the demographics first. The demographics should come first, and that is the best practice. So I'll give gender, I'll give level of education, and here I'll use underscore, level of education. I'll hit enter. Another demographic I could give is ethnicity, if the need be. I could give, let's say, the person's BMI. Maybe I could also measure the person's height, and obviously the BMI will come from the height. I could measure the weight of the individuals, and all these are either demographic or anthropometric measurements that you are giving to the participant. And there are other variables you could also assign depending on the questionnaires that you have. Now, for instance, if I have done all these, then the next thing I want to do, so for instance, I could also give weight, I could give, let's say, satisfaction, I could give perception, I could give perception underscore 1, perception underscore 2, perception underscore 3. Underscore 3. And the satisfaction, very good. So for instance, if this is the questionnaires that I have, and that's all the questions I have from my data, then I can begin to make sure that I've given the right properties. Now you could see that over here I have perception 1, perception 2, and perception 3, and even perception. I can then give the right values to them. So the first perception could be looking at their perception on the use of internet. The second one could be the perception on the use of books. The third one could be perception on the use of mobile phones. So all of them are on perceptions, but I'm giving the right label so that when I'm performing the analysis, I know exactly which one to choose, and it's very, very important. Now, I've already talked about the values, the value labels, and if you want more on the labels, you could also check on my previous video. The values as well have been covered in my previous video, but quickly, I've made mention of the fact that the age does not take values, especially when you are dealing with the age does not take values, especially when you are dealing with the age in its raw state. But if you want to group it into categorical, like categorical variables, age range, then you give a value for SPSS to understand which values you are giving, especially if it is a numeric type. And you want to assign, for instance, 1 to an age range of 10 to 12 or 10 to 11 and so on and so forth. So that is also done. And you give the right measure over here. So over here, if I want to choose age, raw age, I'll use scale. If I want to use gender, I'll use nominal. If I want to use level of education, then I'll choose ordinal. Ethnicity, I'll choose nominal. If I'm dealing with a person's BMI, then I'll choose scale. In the same vein, if I'm dealing with a person's height, I'll choose scale. So all these are continuous variable. Level of satisfaction, dealing with levels. If I'm just measuring satisfaction, then I'll choose nominal. But if I'm doing level of satisfaction, which is indicative of a Likert scale, then it is very proper that you use ordinal. And that will give you the best measure you're looking at. Perception, I could choose nominal because their perception is not grouped in terms of levels. So once I've given the right measure, I've managed the data very well, then I can now begin to enter the data. Now you make sure that each participant take one row, and one row has age, gender, level of education, ethnicity down to perception 3. And if I have properly coded it, giving it the right values, then all that I need to be doing is to be entering 1s and 2s and 3s, 1, 2s and 3s. And that is the best practice, to give values to categorical variables. For the height and weight, you're going to enter the raw heights that were measured into the data. For instance, if you measured a height of 148 centimeters, I'll just type 148 and go on like that. But when it comes to, let's say, level of education, then I need to code it, give it values, so that I'll just be entering 1s and 2s and 3s, 1s and 2s and 3s, standing in for whichever value that are used. And once I'm done entering the data, then I need to observe my data very well to see if everything is arranged, if there is nothing that is missing from my data. Now, another thing you want to look at is if, for instance, gathering your data and inside your data you realize that some of them are missing, certain responses were not answered. What are you going to do? That is where data management comes in. Now, if there are certain information that are missing from your data, it's going to affect your analysis, because you have about 100 participants and about 80 of them didn't answer for a particular question. And that question is so important as far as your objectives are concerned. Then you can use the response from only 20 to make an inferential statistics, or make an inferential statement, or test a hypothesis. Here is where you need to manage your data. In this case, what you will do is that you can actually find the mean of that particular data. If it is continuous, then you find the mean and you use the mean to fill in for the rest. In this case, when you calculate the mean or you test hypothesis, the mean will not change. But in a situation where it is categorical, like male and female, then you use the modal variable, like if most of them were males, then you are saying that probably a substantial majority of your participants were males. So you want to use the modal age or the modal gender to fill in for the rest of the missing variables. And that is actually acceptable as far as cleaning the data and also managing the data is concerned. So it's very important that you look at your variable. If there is the need for you to recode certain variables into other variables, then you come to the recode button here by choosing transform. When you click on transform, then there is recode into same variables. There is also recode into different variables, where you have the option to recode your variable into any way that you want it. For instance, if I choose recode into same variables, if I have age and I want to change the age into age range, then I click on the old and new. In this case, since I chose that I want to recode into the same variable, I don't need to change the name of the variable. But in a situation where I want to recode into different variables, then SPSS will ask me that, okay, you want to choose age. Which age or what other output variable name do you want to give to it? So over here, I could tell SPSS that I want to give it age range instead of age. Then the label is obviously age range. Then I'll hit change. You could see that this arrow is telling me that age is being changed into age range. That is the variable name. You are not done. You need to go ahead and change the actual values. So over there, if you have entered ones and twos and ones and twos, then you could tell SPSS that I want to change 1 to, let's say, 3. And then I'll add it. I want to change 2 into, let's say, 4. And I'll add it. What it means is that in your data, wherever SPSS will see 1, as far as age is concerned, it will change it to 3. Wherever SPSS will see 2, it will change it to 4. When I hit OK, SPSS will start looking for ones and twos and recode it into 3s and 4s. Then I will come into my variable view here, and you can see that age range has been added over here. And the age range as the label, just as I gave it. I can then begin to give it labels. And I'll tell SPSS, now I want to test something for you to see. I'll do 1. 1 means, let's say, 10 to 25 years. And I'll hit enter. Then 2 means 26 to 35 years. I'll hit enter. 3 means 36 to 45 years. I hit enter. And then 4 finally means 46 to 55 years. I'll hit enter. Now I want us to test the recoding that we did to see if it worked. And it happened at the age range here. If you begin to hit 1, 2 over here, you could see that it is taking place. Now 3, 3, 3, 3. Very good. And I want you to take note of this. You could see that I have ones and twos. Let me change the decimal to 0. You could see that I have 1, 2, 2, 2 over here. And the 1 means 10 to 25 years. And then the 2 means 26 to 35 years. So if I come to the transform again, and I want to recode into the same variable, for instance, this particular age range, I want to recode into the same variable, then I could tell SPSS to change 1 into 3, just like we did previously, and change 2 into 4, like this. As soon as I hit OK and hit OK over here, when we come to our data view here, or our data view here, you could see that the ones and twos I had have been changed to 3 and 4, and I no longer have the ones and twos. And that is the same thing you could have done for the age range. And as soon as you change or you transform or recode the variable, it takes effect, and the values that you begin to give to it applies to it as well. So that is what you need to take note of. When you have your data entered into SPSS, that is not a final thing. You could at any time recode it, you could at any time transform your data, and that is what we mean by managing your data, to make sure that your data is the right and the true representation of what you are exactly doing or what you got on the field. So that is all about data entry and also data management. If you have any question, you can put it in the comment section below, and do check in again for another video. If you like this video, hit the like button and also share and subscribe to my channel for more content on this particular topic. See you in another video.